Let's compare these three $50 supercars, which are all part of the same series. The first one was released in 2019, which is the Chevrolet Corvette. The next one is the McLaren Senna GTR of 2021. And finally, we have the Bugatti Bolide of 2023. In this comparison, we will be looking at the functionality, aesthetics, as well as the value of each of these cars. First, let's start with the functionality of each set. Here we have the LEGO Technic Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 set number 42093. Functionally, this is easily the most underrated car. Out of the three, it is the only one that has a differential, which means that it has the most advanced drivetrain. Furthermore, the motion of the differential actually passes through the blue 20-tooth clutch gear, and the blue gear is responsible for the steering mechanism. The steering knob is located at the back, which means that it doesn't take away from the aesthetics. It truly contains some of the most fascinating mechanisms out of the three cars. Speaking of the mechanisms, let's take a look at the V8 engine. It is located at the front and it works absolutely beautifully, although the pistons are quite short. The Chevrolet Corvette also lacks any openable doors, but its mechanisms certainly make up for that. The McLaren Senna GTR is largely a downgrade in terms of functionality. Although it does have these beautifully opening butterfly doors, it got rid of the differential, which means that only one of these wheels is actually connected to the V8 engine instead of both. The V8 engine itself is more hidden than in the Chevrolet Corvette, but it does have more travel for each piston, which makes it much more satisfying to look at. Of course, this car does have hand-of-God steering and it has a removable steering knob, which is great for displaying the model. Unlike the Corvette, this car is much more densely built, so there is almost no empty space inside. Now, let's talk about the functionality of the Bugatti Bolide. The single greatest aspect of this car is easily the W16 engine. I didn't even know that it was possible to fit a W16 engine in such a tiny space. It looks so satisfying and it even sounds like a real engine. Take a listen. While it does have the best engine of all the cars, it did come with several key compromises. For example, in terms of the drivetrain, this car was downgraded from the already differential-lacking McLaren, having a single, solid rear axle connected to the engine. When a car turns, the inner and outer wheels rotate at different speeds. Therefore, it is essential that the wheels don't have locked speeds. A solid axle, like in this set, keeps the outer and inner wheels rotating at the same speed, which means that as you're playing with the set, the rear wheels don't maintain consistent traction and you can hear them slipping. It's not a major issue given that it's a fully manual model, but it's definitely something a bit unpleasant. Of course, this car does have hand-of-God steering, and much like on the McLaren, the steering knob is also removable. It also does have similar butterfly doors. So, which car gets the point for functionality? Since the McLaren lacks a differential and it only has a V8 engine as opposed to a W16, I think that we can safely eliminate the blue car. So now it's a toss-up between either the Chevrolet Corvette or the Bugatti Bolide. We can choose between either the differential and the compact gears or the amazing W16 engine. It's a really hard decision, but I will go with the Bugatti Bolide. I cannot stop staring at that beauty. The engine is so satisfying and it's certainly way more fun to look at the functioning engine rather than a differential. Of course, the Chevrolet Corvette does have a more accurate drivetrain, so perhaps I chose the wrong car for functionality. Let me know in the comments. If you're enjoying comparisons like this and you would like to get my comparison of the Porsche RSR, the Ferrari 488 GTE, as well as the new Ford GT, then make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. As always, there is no pressure for you to subscribe, and there is no pressure in the pneumatic cylinders. Now, let's focus on the aesthetics. Of course, I think we can all agree that the Chevrolet Corvette is the worst looking one, so let's toss it out for the comparison. Now, it's between the Bugatti Bolide as well as the McLaren Senna GTR. I think that both cars look absolutely beautiful. But first, let's start with the McLaren. It's got a lot of amazing shaping, and I especially love these printed panels at the front. I think that the McLaren looks better from the front than the Bugatti, but at the same time, the Bolide looks a billion times better from the back than the McLaren, so it's a toss-up. I do think that from the sides, the Bugatti looks a lot better than the McLaren. It just has a more powerful feeling. Of course, the Bugatti Bolide actually got a ton of brand new panels for the shaping. These can be used to build larger supercars with greater detail. The McLaren did not get many new pieces specifically developed for it. I think that the Bolide wins the aesthetics category, and the black and yellow color scheme is my favorite, which is another reason why I chose this car. But what about the value of these three cars? All of them retailed for $50, and the Chevrolet, McLaren, and Bugatti contained $579 830 and 905 pieces respectively. Purely based on the price to parts ratio, you might say that the Bugatti Bolide has the best value, but I would like to think of it differently. Here's how I look at these cars. You're getting the best mechanisms at the cost of a lot of pieces with the Corvette. You're getting more pieces and better aesthetics with the McLaren at the cost of the mechanisms. And finally, with the Bugatti Bolide, you're getting the most amount of pieces and the best engine at the cost of the drivetrain. Now, the decision to pick the car with the best value becomes a lot more difficult. Personally, in Technic sets, I value mechanisms above all else. To me, the extra amount of pieces is meaningless, especially since it doesn't actually increase the size of the model, but just makes it denser. It's just a bunch of small panels and tiny pieces that I'll never end up using in my own creations anyway. What I need are things like differentials, gears, and more. So even though it's an unpopular opinion, and one you have probably never expected, I will put the Chevrolet Corvette as the set with the best value. The overall ranking for all of the cars is as follows. The Bugatti Bolide is on the top, followed by the Chevrolet Corvette, and in the last place, we have the McLaren Senna GT-R. Although this ranking is probably not what you expected, I think that it is a good representation of the best to the worst. Remember, LEGO Technic is all about the mechanisms, not the aesthetics. Where the Chevrolet Corvette lacks in aesthetics is made up for by its mechanisms. If you don't have the Chevrolet Corvette, I strongly recommend getting it. Furthermore, if you still don't have the Bugatti Bolide, then make sure to buy it using my special link in the pinned comment as well as the description of this video. This set will not disappoint you. This is your Unbrick Me here, and I'll see you in the next one.